What's up, guys? Adriano here from Collector's Catch. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Today's video is going to be a bit about grading. I wanted to just discuss a bit of my practices with PSA grading and how I proceed to this, how I decide, will I get this card graded or will I not get this card graded? So tune in, let's roll the intro and get into it. So first thing I want to go over in today's video is, assessing condition. So assessing condition is number one when deciding if I'm going to get a card graded. So I take the card, okay, and it's important that you take a look and make sure that the cards are in good shape. So first thing I do is I make sure I check the holo, check if there's any scratches. This one has a very cool swirl on the top of Kabutops' head. And this is also, by the way, a Japanese card. The back is very, very, very clean. So I can't complain about the back. The card is in really good shape. The only issue that I do see is centering from left to the left side over here. Sorry, it's zooming. Left side versus the right side on this side. So very important. We know because of that it's possible that PSA brings it down to a 9, okay? So one thing I want to go over with you is assessing centering.
We will proceed when you are centered.
I'm centered. Come on, there's 10,000 people behind us. Let's go, crazy man!
When going over centering, first things first, I'm very good with the eye. I've graded over 100, I have hundreds of cards, and I have an idea on centering. But there is such thing called as a grading tool, a centering tool. So this tool over here by Gem Mint is a tool that helps you figure out if your card is still in the parameters to get a 10. As long as everything else is good, if centering is off, if this centering can get you a PSA 10. So let me line this up. Okay, so I've lined it up. Okay, you might be able to see here. On the left, we are at the number 3 dotted line. Look at the bottom left-ish. And on the right, we're at... Oh, I moved it. On the right, we are at roughly 2. It's the solid line. So what does that tell us? And always important, when you're using this centering tool, I'm going to try to link it in the description. When you're using the centering tool, have your card in a plastic, right? You don't want to rub something like this that can scratch your card. You always want to keep your cards in penny sleeves. And when they're ready to be shipped, or while they're being stored, if you plan on grading them, put them in card savers. PSA requires you to send them in card savers. So make sure you buy yourself a nice pack of 25, 50, 100, 200, whatever. The box comes in usually 200. I buy a huge amount, but make sure that you put these cards in here so that while they're being shipped, they're banging around, they don't move. Very solid, okay? It doesn't move, it doesn't fall out like a top loader. Very, very solid. So I assessed, and this little document comes with it, I assessed that the centering was 3-2, meaning 60-40. Meaning, potentially, PSA can still send this back a 10 regardless of the fact that the centering is off. I think it'll come back a 9 anyways if I do send this, but there's always a chance. And when a card has a chance, it's important to give it a shot. Next step, once I've decided that I might be giving this a shot, it goes in the next pile here. And what I do is I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So the next step here is step 1 being looking at either eBay sold or 130 point. So in eBay sold, we're going to type in Kabutops Japanese Fossil PSA. And we're going to scroll all the way down. You could do this on your phone, by the way, too. Sold items. Now, we see that the last PSA 9, which I think it'll grade as, came back $52 in sale, as a sale number. I know for a fact that I paid for the card, I paid $12. So $12 plus $25 to get it graded. I know that I'm making a bit of money if it comes back a 9, worst case. And that's, for me, worst case. I don't see it getting worse than that. I didn't see anything else wrong with it. If it comes back a 10, I can make even more. We're going to take this. We're going to put it in this website, 130 point. And we're going to see how here it shows strike-throughs. When there's strike-throughs, it means it's a best offer. It means that someone made an offer. It didn't sell for exactly that price. So this site here is going to show us what it actually sold for. In USD, you'll have to probably convert it. But see, it shows that this PSA 10 Kabutop sold for 130 US. Okay? Which means quite a bit of profit for me if I do get a 10. What I also like to do is I will click on it, and when I feel a certain card will get a certain grade, I will analyze it and see. How does it look? See, this one has a lot better centering than mine. So it could very well be, it's hard to say. The back centering is, it's okay, it's a bit off, but it doesn't tell me if my card can get a 10. I am still on the cusp. So seeing as I collect PSA 9 and higher of vintage, if it does come back a 9, I don't mind keeping it. Having said everything, all the factors, I would be comfortable sending off this Kabutops. So that's number 1 in my grading pile. And I keep doing that. I also build an Excel sheet. And I'm going to show you my Excel sheet very quickly here.
Excellent. Excellent.
For example, this is a breakdown of my last PSA sub. Okay, that came back. It's been a while. But this one, for example, I'm just showing you guys how I write the card name. I write what kind of print it's from, what kind of set. And I put the grade price. One thing I need to add here, and because I have good memory, so I remember a lot of this, but what I should also be writing is what I paid for this card. It's hard to do when you buy collections, but still, it's good to have that written down. Keep yourself in check. You see raw USD, that's to give you an idea of how much the value of the card is raw. This helps you have a better understanding of where your cards stand. And then I like to put in what I think the card's gonna grade, as well as what the different PSA grades, 8, 9, and 10, are selling for at the time. It gives me an idea, should I be sending this card? It also gives me an idea when I get the cards back, what did the card grade? Was I right? Did I miss something? And to give me an idea a bit how the market fluctuated since I got the card back. So that's what I do. I like to also put different tabs if I send it to different kinds of grading companies. You get the gist of it. But what's really cool is just going through my cards and deciding to grade and whatnot. The main thing is always check. You know what your grading price is. You know what you paid for the cards, and you have an idea. Which is the hardest part, is what do you think the card will grade? And sometimes it doesn't really necessarily matter too much. But for example, let me give you guys an example here. This, which one? What should I look at? I'll give you guys an example. This Charizard right here, okay? I personally think this Charizard will be a 10. And I would not send it if I didn't think it was getting a 10. Okay? Looks pretty perfect. Now, if I thought there was a chance this Charizard got anything less, I personally would not send it because it's a modern card and I don't want to get a 9 of a modern Charizard for my collection. I want to get 10s or better, like a BGS 10 or something. Now, but there are some cards, and I'm going to show you guys an example very shortly. Some vintage stuff. Let's look at this Zapdos here. There are some cards that if I get a 9, for example, or even an 8 of vintage, I might still just keep it in the collection. Look at this Rocket Zapdos here. I do believe it has a scratch somewhere on the holo, but overall, super clean card. Love this card. This card was reprinted in Celebrations. Got a little smidge of whitening at the top there. Other than that, a little one on the bottom corner, but honestly, super clean card. I think it'll get a PSA 8. And that's why I'm sending it, because I would be happy if it doesn't get a crazy grade. I'd be happy keeping it. So Some of these cards are for personal collection. Some of them are to make a profit so that I can pay off the submission or get more money to reinvest back into YouTube or to reinvest back into the hobby, buying collections and just keeping it going.
Yeah, keep on keeping on, brother.
One thing I'd like to add on all this is helping you find potential damage, scratches, any kind of imperfections on your cards. So let's take a look together at this Mewtwo base set holo, okay? On the surface, looks very clean, right? There's no scratches on the holo. The back's got some issues, got some whitening, got this scratch at the back here. All the cards that I've sent in, I had a bunch of base set cards from a collection that had all these like white scratches here. They all got 8s, surprisingly enough. I thought it'd be worse, but they all got 8s. So I was thinking, hey, I'm going to send this Mewtwo to get graded. A PSA 8 of base set Mewtwo. It's one of my favorite base set cards because it's got that red holo around, like that aura around him. Super nice. But as I was looking at it to talk to you guys about it actually in the video, I noticed that right about here, look here, guys, there is a binder dent right there. It's very hard to see. I have a magnifying glass, and we're going to try to see if through the magnifying glass, through the camera, it's going to be hard. Let's see. But in person, this works super well, okay? What I use it for is for checking scratches. Take a look on Amazon. I bought this off Amazon for a couple bucks. There's a little light in it too, but it really helps you focus in on the scratches. So I'm going to see if I can see the dent through here. Super hard. I can't even see it with the magnifying glass. But you guys can maybe see it here, the camera angle. It's got a binder dent. And PSA will automatically give this a PSA 6 because it's got a dent. So it's not worth grading. Maybe potentially BGS or CGC would give it a higher overall grade, potentially 1 grade above, just because they do an average of the grades. And because it's an average, potentially it could be a bit higher than a 6. The surface, I think, would be like a 7 on this card. So potentially could get a 7. Still, nonetheless, I'm not going to take a risk. I'm not going to spend money sending it in. It's got a dent. But that's something to keep an eye out for. You got to always check very carefully. Move the card in different kinds of lights to see if it's got any kind of dents or whatnot. Like I have even this Rockets Mewtwo here. It's got... I put it aside because I love Mewtwo's. Rockets Mewtwo, super clean. The holo doesn't really have any issues with it. However, on the back, and I don't even know if you can see it. Oh, you see it a bit. At the top, there's that little lip there of damage. I don't even know what that'll grade. So it's been kept aside here in my potential grading pile because I feel like if I sell it, I'm not going to get enough. And if I grade it, I don't know what it's going to get. So it's just sitting there. All that to say, guys, I just wanted to show you guys a couple more ways to look at conditions on your cards. I want to show you the magnifying glass. And the last thing I want to show you is this black light.
Ooh, it's a black light.
This black light can help you see whitening. So I'm going to take back out this Mewtwo holo here. And we're going to take a look at the back because we saw that there was some whitening on the back, right? So take a look here. See the black light? It shows you there's a bit of whitening there. You see the white marks. You see a bit of whitening in the corner. So it really helps you. I know how to look for them really with the eye, but sometimes it's just really hard to see. And having a little extra tool for, I don't know, a couple bucks on Amazon can really help a ton. Grading is not easy. Looking over your cards before grading is not easy either. We aren't professionals. So using as many tools as possible at your disposal will give you an advantage. The more you look over your cards, the less money you can potentially waste. And you don't want to waste money, right? So the more you look them over, the better chance you have of not wasting money with grading companies and sending cards that don't need to be sent in. Let's look at this card, for example. So this, I've had this for a super long time, okay? Not worth much raw, a couple bucks. And by the way, do not send your cards in these. This is just so that dust and dirt doesn't get in. I like to just protect them like that while I'm waiting to send them in. But this card in a PSA 10 is a couple bucks. But if it doesn't get the 10, it's not worth nothing. It's worth less than the grading fee. So I've kept it around just in case the PSA 10 does go up. I'll send it in. But until then, it just financially isn't worth it for me. Sending it in, get a PSA 10 and selling it for like, I don't know, 35 bucks or whatever it might be, is just not worth it. So take a look, guys. Unless you plan on just keeping the card, and even at that, when I'm keeping a card in my collection, I still like to send them in only when it financially makes sense in case I would have had to sell it. So that if I ever do have to sell the cards, hopefully at least anything could go down, right? Anything could go down in value. But at the very least, hopefully I sent something in that was at one point in time definitely worth it, so that when it comes time to either sell or trade, it still is somewhat worth having invested the grading fee. That's my philosophy. It's not bulletproof.
Bulletproof, baby.
Also, very important, this little tab here, PSA used to ask for the tab to be added, no longer wants these tabs. Because they cut, from what I've heard, they cut the card saver from the side. So having the tab is just a nuisance for them, really. So every time I send in new cards that maybe have the tab on from way back when I used to really hoard cards, I just take it off, and this is how it would be sent in. So I hope I've taught you all something today. One thing that I want to mention as well is sometimes there is value with using different grading companies for different things. Okay, I'm going to show you an example of something.
Example? Example?
Take a look at this. To the naked eye, these look like two common cards. Okay, very common. Baby Dragon from MRD reprint. But if you look very closely, this Baby Dragon here has a huge ink print error. See, it looks like it got dirty. Huge print error there on it. It has a very dark cloud in the top right, and this one does not. So this is technically an error card. If ever I decided I'm going to grade this error card, I would go with CGC, because CGC specializes in errors. Okay? If I had a card that I felt was really pristine, I would try maybe BGS. Okay? Some card games grade are more popular with BGS. Like, for example, some older Digimon or some really old vintage Pokemon, because it's hard to get high grades in BGS. So that holds a premium. A BGS 10 holds a higher premium than a PSA 10 most of the time. So that's stuff to keep in mind. This is just a quick overview of what I think about when I'm deciding to get cards graded. I hope I taught you something today. And if you have any questions, don't feel shy. Reach out to me on Instagram. Reach out to me on YouTube. Comment below. Please like the video. If you like this kind of content, I'll be doing a lot more if it works out very well. And very important, do not forget to subscribe. We are on a mission to get 500 subscribers by the end of November. I need your help. Thank you all for tuning in. Appreciate the love and support. Peace out from Collector's Catch.